Mark Van Dusen for OBJ Regional. From our small communities to our big cities, the opioid crisis continues to kill Canadians. But now a Kingston company has developed an innovative way of identifying the lethal danger in advance to save lives. Malcolm Eade of Spectra Plasmonics tells us more. What is it exactly you've developed, and how is it going to save lives?
Yeah, so us, Spectra as a company, is focused on making technology that brings rapid, life-saving results for unknown samples in devices that can be deployed in the field. And so our first product, what we built around, is a drug analysis system, which tells you the composition breakdown of a drug sample, including if there's dangerous amounts of things like fentanyl inside of this. So it can be used in a variety of field scenarios, and right now we're piloting it in a supervised consumption site in Kingston. And this is to alert people of the dangerous contaminants that are found within drugs, and also give public health that information to track the unregulated drug supply.
Okay, let's back up a little bit here. Fentanyl is the one I guess everyone knows as the lethal drug of habit these days. What else can your product detect?
Right. So there's fentanyl, but fentanyl is in a family of compounds. There's they call them fentanyl analogs in this field, and so in that family is another chemical compound called carfentanil, and that's 100 times more potent and more deadly than normal fentanyl is. So knowing if that's in a substance is of significant value for that reason. There's also another group of substances called benzodiazepines, sometimes shortened to benzos, and this is a class of anti-anxiety drugs. When you mix that and fentanyl together, that can give some pretty dangerous outcomes and adverse effects when it comes to overdoses.
So before I ask you how this works, what exactly the process is, or the technology you've developed, sort of take us to the street. Where would this technology of yours be located in relation to where, say, drug users go to be administered, a drug, to where users, usually visit?
Yeah, so in Ontario, we call them consumption treatment centers. And so in the rest of Canada, I believe the designation is still supervised consumption site. And so right now in our pilot in Kingston, it's right in consumption center where substances are used. And so the device and system is there on a table. And so if someone needs to analyze a substance, it can be done right there in a matter of minutes.
So make that a little clearer to me. I'm going to the substance center, and I've got a drug. What is it? My drug of choice, and I'm not sure what's in it. What happens next?
So it's important to note that drug checking services are voluntary. So if you want to check your substance, you take a small amount, just a little scoop of 5 milligrams. We prep that onto our test disposable. Then we insert it into a reader, and then we get actionable results generated in a matter of minutes after that. And so what you'll get is the breakdown of what the mixing agents are, but also importantly, if there's trace amounts of a dangerous substance like fentanyl in the sample.
So at that point, the user can safely inject himself or herself with whatever drug, and know that it's not going to kill them.
Right. So if the idea is to encourage more harm reduction type behavior. So if there was something unexpected, say you weren't expecting a benzo in a sample, then at that point, it's up to the user to either reduce the dose, maybe not take the dose at all, so that exactly like you mentioned, Mark, so that we can prevent an adverse outcome.
Why did you and your colleagues embrace this idea?
Another great question. So like many things, it was kind of serendipitous in entrepreneurship, but at the time, when we started the company, first off, I remember this was a year when fentanyl overdoses and fentanyl headlines were becoming really big in the media. And we knew that our technology could address this. We just didn't know what exactly the use case was going to be. a year or so later, we had this call for proposals from Health Canada to make these accurate drug checking prototypes. And we were looking at the specs of that and what they were asking for. And we said, hey, this looks like something that we could do very, very well. And so lo and behold, we built a prototype, and now it's in field at the consumption site. And how we got there was another story in and of itself, which I'm happy to quickly chat about. But basically, the coordinator of the consumption site in Kingston gave a talk at one of the local hospitals and was talking about the issues that Kingston and Ontario has with drug overdoses. And when we spoke with her afterwards, she said, what you're doing is very important, and it has potential to save lives. And after that, we had a number of other discussions, and that's how it led to the pilot that we have now.
So, how does the gizmo? Forgive me for saying gizmo. It sounds. I don't want to cheapen the innovation here, but how does the gizmo you've developed pick out one drug from another and tell the user that it's safe to use?
Yeah, so the technology is built on a specific kind of spectroscopy, but without boring people with technical jargon, what basically makes this technique so powerful is that we identify samples based off of their unique chemical fingerprint. And then when we detect that fingerprint, that gets translated back to the operator into a plain language result. And so this makes it super accurate and super powerful, and also very adaptable, because most drugs have their own unique fingerprint. And so we can stay up to date with substance trends and update this fingerprint database on the fly.
So am I correct in thinking that you put a few drops of the particular substance, into this machine, if I may call it that? And does it actually read out the words of what's in it? The word fentanyl, for example?
Exactly. So if I were to describe the system quickly, we have a test disposable. That's where our proprietary technology lies. And then we have the reader, the spectrometer. And so we do a little quick prep step. We get the sample onto the test disposable. We insert that into the reader. And then after that, the results are lightning fast. We press scan. And exactly like you said, it tells you the results in plain language. And so if there's fentanyl, it'll display that right on the screen, fentanyl detected.
So have you seen this product in action in the field?
Yeah, so we're conducting a controlled rollout in the consumption site right now, where we've done a number of tests. And we also have a number of other pilot partners that are interested and have been testing the system as well. And so yes, we've tested a number of controlled substances on the system thus far.
What is the reaction so far from the people who use these drugs?
The reaction has been quite positive, actually. A lot of people are, it's great. Some of the feedback we've gotten, they're just amazed at a technology like this exists, that you can bring this into the field and you can just get the results. And so we've been pretty warmed by the responses. A lot of people are interested in seeing what's in their drugs and using responsibly. Because at the end of the day, I don't think anybody wants an unexpected bad outcome when they're using these things. And so with the staff, it's the same thing. It's it's been the feedback has been great, and that's because of the speed and usability of the system.
Where else can you go with this technology?
Yeah, another great question. So, like a lot of biotech or deep technology companies, it's a platform, and we can adapt this to a variety of different things. And so, drug checking and supervised consumption site is one avenue, but there's drug analysis that's needed for other government organizations as well. And then, there's a lot of applications where you need to be able to detect something important in a complex sample and get a result. So down the line, we have, ideas for applications in food safety. There's the medical applications, though this is years and years down the road because of the regulations. But there's no shortage of things that we can adapt the technology to and eventually address.
How much of a difference do you expect this is going to make on the COVID front?
On the COVID front or the?
I'm sorry.
overdose
Let me
risk?
re-ask. Let me re-ask on the opioid front.
So we think it's going to have an impact in a very big way. And in the first place, it's because right now there is no rapid or timely data set for public health or these groups to kind of look at. Most of the time, if you're going to analyze a drug sample, if you want to, you're going to rely on a laboratory to do that. And there's only a limited amount of laboratories that can do this type of analysis, and the backlogs are months long in some cases. And so there's really no timely data set. And so just having that information for the people whose job it is to save lives in this crisis is going to have a huge impact in directing policy and how we choose to respond, and knowing what the drug trends are out there, but also just on the immediate impact of alerting people of dangerous substances when a new dangerous drugs gets put into the drug supply, just directly preventing overdoses. Those are the two ways that we see this impacting this crisis.
Is the hope that this technology will be used in user centers across Canada?
That is absolutely the aim. So we have our pilot happening right now but we're speaking with a number of other groups across the country, and we're looking to line up projects to eventually make this the new standard of care, the new de facto standard for portable drug analysis, if you will. And we want this to be in the hands of everybody whose job it is to save lives in this crisis, whether that be every consumption site, every first responder, every public health group, you name it. We want this to be ubiquitous everywhere.
Yeah, you're saving lives. How does that feel?
It's on one vein, it's a big responsibility, but also, making an impact in a crisis that's very close to home and affects North America and Canada. Us as founders and as a company, we're very proud to be doing that. And we're very proud to be making a solution around such a big health crisis.
Malcolm, thanks for sharing these developments with us today at Spectra Plasmonics. It's very, very interesting and promising technology. All the best on that front. And again, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me again, Mark.